Hello y'all, and welcome back to today's video. In today's video we're going to be doing an election prediction between current presidential candidate Democrat from the state of Massachusetts Elizabeth Warren and incumbent president Republican Donald Trump. As we know, Elizabeth Warren is currently running for president of the United States, currently running at around 5 to 10% in most polls. She's currently in the middle of the pack. She's around third or fourth in most polls. Of course, we know her because she's more of a progressive, outspoken person towards the president. The president has, of course, called Elizabeth Warren many things that he's used to calling people. He's attacked her a lot for her mistakes on her race, and other things she's done in the past. As we know, Elizabeth Warren is very progressive. She's very outspoken towards her stances. She believes in many things that like a Bernie Sanders or a more traditional progressive would believe in. This could easily work towards her advantages or her disadvantage in some of these states that are more centrist, more of these closer states like Florida, like in Ohio, like a Pennsylvania. But it'll also help her in those states that are very democratic leaning, like California, like a New York, like a Massachusetts. So, of course, this election would probably come down to if people can accept her being a more progressive person, a more to the left of most democratic people. So, of course, we know that the president would hold most of these states. And another thing, though, is that because of her democratic leaning or her progressive stances, a lot of these states that usually would be considered toss-ups aren't actually going to be toss-ups. Like, I'm not going to, for most political predictions, Georgia is usually a state that is considered a toss-up. And for me, because of her, her stances on guns, on race, well, not race, but mostly on guns and healthcare and that stuff. She's gonna alienate a lot of the more centrist and more right Democratic people. So I don't think a lot of these states would be affected. But one state I do think that she will do well is in New Hampshire. New Hampshire is a really weird state in most cases. It usually is really close and usually is decided by a few thousand votes, less than 1% in most elections. But because she's from that area, I do believe, especially in the southern counties of New Hampshire, I do believe she's gonna do well in that state. But yeah, so this is our current map: 180 electoral votes for the president to Elizabeth Warren's 189. So we're gonna start off in the West Coast in Nevada. We'll leave Nevada for now. Arizona, I think would be close. We're also gonna leave that for later. New Mexico, I think, is trending more towards the Democratic side. It's voted Democratic in 4 of the last 5 presidential elections. So I think she'll handily win that by around 4 or 5 points. Same thing with Colorado, maybe a bit closer, but I think that Colorado is also trending towards the Democratic side. I don't believe that she'll have an issue having support from more younger voters, more middle-aged voters, because the fact is, a state like Colorado is changing. Of course, they have many things. They have strict gun laws. They have marijuana is legal in that state, recreational use, and a lot of things in that state are more Democratic leaning. So now moving on to a state like Iowa, I think the president will handily win that. I don't think he'll have an issue in that state. Minnesota is an interesting state. I'll leave that for later. Let's move on more southern. Let's go to North Carolina currently. I believe that the president won't have an issue there. I think he'll win 15 electoral votes from North Carolina easily. Virginia is another state that is trending Democratic. Of course, it's voted 3 times in a row for the Democrats. The biggest part of the state that's growing is that DC suburbs in the northeastern part. That's where most of the votes are. That's where most people are currently in the state of Virginia. It's trending Democratic. It's mostly Democratic. It's the future of the Democrats in Virginia. So now moving up to Maine, I do believe she, actually thinking about it now, I don't believe, considering how Donald Trump did against Hillary Clinton, but also considering how she's from that part of the state, or part of the country, excuse me. I truly think that the president would win back that electoral vote from the state of Maine just because of how well he did last election. I really don't know how whether Maine voted, that congressional district voted for Trump because of their unfavorableness towards Hillary Clinton, or towards favorability towards him. So now moving on to the Rust Belt, state of Pennsylvania. That's a tough one. I'll go back to it. Ohio. I think the president will easily win this state by less of a margin, but I believe by around 5 to what we saw last time, almost 8, 9, or 10 points. Just because I don't believe she'll do well with the minority vote, especially with African Americans in the Cleveland area, in the northern part of the state, excuse me, where most African Americans that voted for candidates like Barack Obama, like John Kerry, like Al Gore were. Michigan, we'll come back to that. Wisconsin was the closest state that voted in the Rust Belt for the president. I think Elizabeth Warren will win this back. Will win this state back again. It's also trending. Well, maybe not trending, but it voted for Democratic candidates in the midterms, in the 2018 midterms. So I do believe that Wisconsin will flip back to the Democrats. But if you take a notice of all the states that are left on the map, 2 of them did go to Hillary Clinton, Nevada and Minnesota, while the rest, Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Florida, did go for the president. And as a lot of you guys may have predicted, Florida is just Trump's ground. I really don't see a way for Democratic candidates that aren't Joe Biden, that aren't Bernie Sanders, that aren't your more appealing, in a sense you could say electable candidates to win a state like Florida. I really don't see a candidate like Elizabeth Warren being able to contest Florida against the president. Now we move back into the Rust Belt. Minnesota, I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt. I haven't seen enough polling towards the state of Minnesota to show that the president is doing better in that state. Again, most of these states, the president has an unfavorable. Most of these toss-up states, the president has an unfavorable approval rating. So we have these states left. Currently, it's about 54 electoral votes, I believe. Again, most of these states, these states will again decide. I think, in my opinion, will be the closer states. So, again, the president needs 2 states to win. Elizabeth Warren basically needs all of them except 1 to win. So now let's move on to the West Coast. Nevada. Again, most of its population is in that Las Vegas area, in that southern part of Nevada. But a lot of people, I don't believe would be able to. I do see that the president has a favorable approval rating in that state, but the fact is, I don't believe that because of Nevada again is trending more. Is trending more Democratic, especially with them having more of a minority vote, more of a Latino vote. I think that state will go for Elizabeth Warren. Although, on the other hand, a state like like Arizona is more Republican leaning. It hasn't voted for a Democrat, I believe, in 20 years since Bill Clinton. I'm not sure, but I think that trend will continue. I think the president will pick up those 11 electoral votes. So that leaves the president at 260 electoral votes to Elizabeth Warren's 240. So, with that being said, Pennsylvania again is a really close state. Has a big amount of African American vote, along with Michigan in that Detroit area and Pennsylvania in that Philadelphia area. The fact is, though, I don't see Elizabeth Warren, with her progressive stances on a lot of these issues, being to flip a lot of these former Trump voters, these white working class voters, these people to the Democratic side. With that being said, I do believe Trump would carry at least one of these states, regardless of which one it would be. It would be enough to win the election. I don't believe that Donald Trump would fail in regaining those, or regaining enough of those voters that he had in the 2016 election to lose in these states again. The reason why a lot of why the Democrats lost these states was because the lack of minority voting. Again, the difference of what Hillary Clinton didn't get from minority voters was enough to get minority voters that voted for Obama was enough to get her over the margin she was losing by. So if all of those minority voters would have gone out to vote, I do believe, or if those minority voters would have gone out to vote, Hillary Clinton would have probably won. I'm not saying that all of those minority voters would have voted for her, but she would at least have a better chance to win. So with that being said, Donald Trump wins this election, in my point of view, 296 electoral votes to Senator Warren's 242. So if you guys did enjoy this video, another election prediction, please consider leaving down a like, subscribing, sharing, or leaving down a comment. Yeah, if you guys have any suggestions, leaving them out in the comments or in my community tab. I'll always read them. I mean, I'm trying to grow, so don't be afraid to subscribe, to share. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I'll be posting more now. I have more time again. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoy this video, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.